Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my second public service announcement done in a couple of days. I just did one regarding this issue of this Senator Tom, or I guess it's Tom Tillis, trying to sneak in some sort of provision for jail time for people that violate copyright law. And in the spirit of keeping you informed, I did that public service announcement, and in that same spirit, I am doing this one. And again, credit and thanks to Charmex for making us aware of this. And this time, we're dealing with an even I don't know if I call it a larger issue, but it is a more systemic issue in our society. And I'll try to explain things as we go along. But essentially, what's going on here is that Twitch, which is a game streaming service thing that they have banned the use of these words, simp, which I assume is short for simpleton or simple, incel, which I have no idea what that means, and virgin, of course, we all know what that means. They're saying that they're doing this as some sort of crackdown on bullying on the internet. Now, the way that they're doing this is not the right response. It's not the right way to handle this. The right way to handle this is on a case-by-case basis to ban users who are being disruptive to the platform, but not to ban the use of particular words, because that violates our First Amendment constitutional rights to free speech. Now, I don't have a strong, solid legal argument on this, but you can go over here. Here's a Constitution link I'll have in the details in the description below. Here's your First Amendment, and it says right here that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right to the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, there's some old-fashioned wordage going on here, but what I want you to pay attention to is this idea of abridging the freedom of speech. The way that this is phrased, the assumption is that everyone in America at the time that this was written and forward, because this was written for the founding of our country, they would have that freedom of speech right. That is the spirit of the Constitution. That may not be written exactly within the lines of the Constitution, but it's there in the spaces. It's there in the spaces of the pages, spaces of the line, spaces of the paragraph. The intention of our forefathers and our founding fathers was that every citizen, American citizen, would have that right to freedom of speech. And we know from all kinds of past experience what happens when people are not allowed to freely speak out, to protest, to communicate, to do whatever they need to do. That's when we get riots. That's when we get situations like North Korea, and in some ways situations like what we see in China. That's where we have all kinds of issues. People abuse their authority and their power, and they try to silence the people that they rule over, and the people aren't very intelligent either, because even though there's more of them, there's always more people than there is the single dictator and his cronies that are running everything. But for whatever reason, the people don't actually seem to fight back. And I guess that's because maybe human nature in general, we're not all about going out and getting guns and going after people. We're kind of passive, kind of sheep-like and herd-like in a lot of ways, and that makes it very easy for tyrants and dictators to control us. But when they left, I believe it was, now my history is ancient, and they've updated it since then. I mean, when I went to school, they told me that Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's how old my history is that I was taught, and I know that that's wrong now. I mean, the Vikings were there long before any Christopher Columbus excursion. But anyway, the idea of that the people from England had left England and were trying to establish a country where they did not have those restrictions on their religious practices, and I assume that freedom of speech was part of that thing that was going on over in England at the time, and I imagine that that is true. I don't know for sure. I don't know much about the history of England, but I'm assuming because you have a monarchy that the king was acting in a godlike capacity, just like a dictator would, and was not allowing any kind of slander on his person or his staff or the royal blood or whatever else was going on, and they wanted freedom from all of that. The point is that the intention of America, the way it was founded, the way it was built, it was meant that everybody at all times, in any situation, would have freedom of speech. Now, they've since amended this, and they've since tried to say that you can't have free speech in certain public areas to some extent, or certain things you're not allowed to say, but that violates the intention of our First Amendment rights. That you have to go into a big, huge legal battle to try to get through all of that, but the intention of it was that we would have the ability and freedom to say whatever it is we have that we want to say about our leaders, about anybody. You know, that doesn't mean that we can say whatever we want to say without consequence. That's the other side of this coin. If you say something against somebody and it's slanderous or libelous or whatever, they have a right to take you to court and to sue you and for defamation or whatever else. But that doesn't negate your right to say whatever it is that you wish to say. In other words, do what you wish, but if you do what you wish and you violate public safety and you violate the law and you are offending or hurting or assaulting another individual citizen, then you're going to end up in jail time, you know, or end up some kind of punishment or facing court or whatever. I think people have forgotten this. They don't really understand that you're supposed to have that right. And now we've got this situation on the internet. We've got YouTube right here. We've got Twitch. And these are private servers, private places where people can gather and talk. And they have somehow established, because it's private, that somehow it's separate from the laws and the Constitution of America, because it's being run by a private entity or a private group or private corporation. Now, I want you to think really closely about why that's a problem. Imagine if you walked into work one day to a corporation and outside the doors it's America, you have freedom of speech, and inside the doors it's communist. Okay? And it's communist law, and they can do whatever the heck they want with you, and they dictated everything, you know, and all the kind of things that you would encounter in a badly run, and I'm not saying communism is bad, the way it was executed was bad. You have to read more about that on your own time. But anyway, imagine that. Imagine that as soon as you enter the door of any corporation or building or anything like that in America that's not a public kind of a place or part of the government or whatever, they can do whatever they wish with you. Well, that obviously would not be allowed. That would be a problem. And that should apply to the internet, because people are going into these virtual spaces and they're communicating with each other. Their rights should follow them into that building, because now it doesn't matter if this area is established. I don't know if Twitch is in America, if it has its servers in America or somewhere else. That doesn't really matter, as long as it's servicing Americans. Any Americans that are coming into that service or those public spaces or whatever you want to define them as on the internet, they should have that freedom of speech. And that's their right as an American citizen. If a private corporation, company, whatever, doing an internet service does not want to allow people to be having that freedom of speech, they want to control stuff, they shouldn't be allowed to be open and serving anybody in America. Plain and simple. They need to abide by the constitutional laws, the constitutional rights. So that's why this is an issue, what Twitch here is doing. And thankfully, there's another link here you'll see here for law.edu Cornell, or is it Cornell? I guess it's Cornell. I can't hardly read it, but a bunch of laws here talking about different amendments and other things going on here. So you might want to read through that for more study on this. But the problem here is that we've put up with YouTube limiting what people can upload, disciplining and banning and causing issues for people who upload things that they disagree with. There's no oversight or regulation ensuring the rights of American citizenry within the confines of the YouTube environment. could be argued that, Americans don't have to go into that business, so they can give up their rights at the door because they don't have to go in there. That's not strictly required. Well, the problem with that theory is that YouTube stands alone. There's no valid competitor to YouTube where you could transfer that would have your rights preserved, where you could transfer your data, your subscriptions, all of your content, and just move to another place and continue operating as normal. It doesn't work that way. YouTube has a monopoly. Now, there is also laws on antitrust and things of that nature, but YouTube has a monopoly on the public video sharing market, followed by, I assume, Vimeo, and then there might be other ones. Twitch, I think, was going to be, I was actually considering it as a place to share videos. It looked like I could kind of do that some way, but now I'm going to uninstall it from my computer, and I'm not going to use it. And that is what I'm asking all of you to do. I would like us to boycott Twitch. Now, you may not know what a boycott means. In simple terms, it means that everybody stops buying something, because the lifeblood of a corporation, of a business, is its money. If people stopped using Twitch in protest against Twitch's doing this, trying to ban these words, it doesn't matter what the words are, that we don't need to be using them on Twitch. That's not the point. We have to set a standard, and a legal standard and precedent, that puts Twitch and YouTube by proxy and other such social media platforms. We have to establish a legal standard that says our First Amendment rights have to be preserved within the confines of your, even if we have an account, as long as we're an American citizen and we're using that service, we have freedom of speech. You cannot limit or ban what we say. There may be consequences if we say something that is illegal. Those consequences pass on to the people that are saying them, not to YouTube or to the social media platform. That is not their responsibility. They are not responsible for what is posted within their platform, and they should not be held responsible for that, only for what they themselves post. And the people that are posting on the platform should be responsible for what they post. So you can say what you want, the legal freedom is there, but then if you are bullying, then that will open you up to legal consequences, and that would be a legitimate reason, I would say, to ban somebody out of Twitch, not just banning people because they're saying stuff that they don't like. But we have to set a precedent. If we don't set a precedent and put one of these social media companies on notice, then they're just going to continue walking all over us and doing whatever the heck they want. Because so far we have not exercised our power. We have a power as being the majority. There are not as many people running Twitch and operating Twitch and in charge of Twitch as there are people using Twitch. There's more people using Twitch than there are people running Twitch. Okay, so we need to exercise our power of the majority. And I'm focusing more in America. I don't know what the laws would be if you're in another country, but we need to focus on our power of majority, stop utilizing Twitch's services, make it clear to them that we're going to do this because they are trying to ban certain words. That is a direct violation of freedom of speech within America. We will not stand for it. And I think Twitch is something we could all ban from our usage and walk away from without too much loss. I don't think we're going to lose a lot of income or a lot of traffic or anything else. You can just focus on YouTube. And we don't have to do it permanently. If we just do this for a couple of weeks until the deadline of when they were going to try to initiate this passes, giving them a chance to repeal it and take it away, we've made our point. And then that will cause change to occur throughout all social media platforms. If we don't put them on notice and we just continue doing our thing and ignoring what's going on around us and utilizing their service and giving them their money, they're going to continue to erode away our rights as free American citizens. I guess a lot of people, a lot of our youth especially, don't really understand this, but you have had a lot of your rights taken away from you over the years, rights that some people in your family have actually gone to war and died for. I mean, we have bled and died and fought for these rights, or our forefathers have at least. And our founding fathers left their entire country to establish this one and give us these rights and freedoms. We have to protect them. not just to honor their memory, but because we want to preserve at least one place in the world where those that are in a position of authority, those that are in charge, are not walking all over everybody else. So I am urging everyone now, I'm doing a hashtag, there is actually one out for boycott Twitter. Sorry, that wouldn't be bad either, but we're not going on Twitter. Okay, let me start over on that one. So I am doing a hashtag right now for hashtag boycott Twitch. And that will be in a link below, and then you can put that in your web browser, use it however you use that. I want to share it on social media. I'd like us all to join in, uninstall Twitch from your computer just through New Year's, or even through January if you can hold out that long. It would be better to go throughout January. If you can do that through the end of January, that would be all I would ask. Just remove Twitch off your computer. Don't use it. Don't stream with it. You can stream through OBS and YouTube, so don't use Twitch. Use other things instead. And just kind of put them on notice that way. The more of us that do that, the less income Twitch will have, and that will begin to hurt their bottom line, and then they'll have to start paying attention to what we're telling them. And then they'll have to rescind this idea of theirs, and instead they need to work on having better moderators and working on things at a case-by-case basis. But the most important thing is setting that precedent that can become a legal precedent later, that private entities, whatever they are on the internet, cannot say that within their spaces only certain, any laws or freedoms that people enjoy outside of those spaces are now restricted. They can't take that away. They're not supposed to be able to do that. We need to set a legal precedent that that is not going to be accepted. As an American citizen, wherever we go on the internet, whatever we're doing, we carry our rights and our Constitution with us. And that's the way it has to be. And if people don't like that, tough bananas. It doesn't matter. That's the way it is. I mean, if they don't want to honor the Constitution and the rights of the American people, then they don't need to be serving the American people. Leave the market open to somebody that will honor our rights. And I would like to do this for YouTube, but that would be harder because so many people, including myself, are using YouTube. I keep hoping that some alternative to YouTube will show up and to be able to use that, but so far no luck. But at least we can do this with Twitch, and we can fire a warning shot to social media and establish something that could become a legal precedent. This would be a big thing that we could do, and it would be a long-term investment in the future of free speech on the internet and a free and open internet in general. Yeah, I don't really use it, so it's not a big deal for me. But if it is a bigger deal for you, if there's more that you're doing on Twitch that you're dependent on that I'm aware of, leave a comment below, let me know. I know that's a big ask then if that's the case, but the more of us that can join together and just uninstall it and not use it for a month or so, the better off we're going to be in the long term, because they're going to keep eroding away our freedoms the more we let them. Pretty soon they're going to dictate the things that we can say and talk about within these social media platforms, even more so. I mean, they already are, but I mean, it's going to be more obvious and more overt than it is right now. And we need to put a stop to that, and we can do that by standing together, and this is the way that we do that, and that is what a boycott is used for. And you can also research that on the internet if you wish to understand more about that. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for joining me in boycotting Twitch. Okay, well, that concludes this episode. Be sure to leave a thumb up if you like the video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this or any of my other videos. Be sure to hit that notification icon so that you can be notified when any new videos are released. And leave me some comments, feedback, suggestions so that I can improve and do even better for you guys. Also, please stop by my Teespring store. I've got more designs coming over from Spreadshirt, but this is what I have here right now. I've got 3 cool designs. I got this mask does not equal safe. It's kind of an attitude for everybody trying to make us wear masks right now. I've got this Zen saying and drawing that I did, to reach your destination, embrace the journey. I think that's really cool. I've got a poem over here. poem says, life doesn't have to be so hard. It has a flow. Sometimes you'll drift, sometimes you'll row, but you get to choose the destination you'll go. I think that's really cool also. So go ahead and grab some of this stuff, and that will support me and help me in my continuing work at YouTube, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.